On this special edition of Your Tiger Ticket, we focus on heroes of the game, specifically the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies for our heroes, Trammell and Morris. We ask some current Tigers who they idolized. We hear from the other Hall of Fame inductees on their special day, and we take a walk through Cooperstown exploring the history of the game. All that and more on this special edition of Your Tiger Ticket. And welcome to Your Tiger Ticket. I'm Jim Burke. Joining us on the show today is our good friend Nick Wisniewski, who had the great pleasure of going to this year's Hall of Fame ceremonies in Cooperstown, New York. And I imagine for Tiger fans, Nick, it was certainly very special.
Yeah, Jim, for any Tiger fan, it was absolutely a beautiful experience. You know, that squad meant so much to so many different people, whether you were an older fan growing up, really embracing that 84 squad, or for maybe a younger fan, that might have been your first actual piece of fandom to get and really understand these players, or even if you're an extremely younger fan, they're the stuff of legends.
The two newest Tigers to the Baseball Hall of Fame were elected by the Modern Baseball Era Committee. Alan Trammell played 20 seasons for the Tigers, earning 6 All-Star Game selections, 4 Gold Glove Awards, and 3 Silver Slugger Awards at shortstop. A 7-time 300 hitter, Trammell scored 100 or more runs 3 times, topped the 30 double mark 6 times, and stole 20 or more bases 3 times. His 2,139 games at shortstop rank 11th on the all-time list, and his .977 fielding percentage ranked 6th among shortstops with at least 2,000 games played. The clubhouse leader of the 1984 Tigers, Trammell was named the Fall Classic MVP after hitting .450 with 2 home runs and 6 RBI in Detroit's 5-game victory. In 1987, Trammell, batting out of the cleanup spot, hit .343 with 28 home runs and 105 RBI. The first season by a shortstop in history with at least a .340 batting average, 25 homers, and 100 RBI.
Like Ernie Harwell used to say, when the Tigers turn a double play, you get 2 for the price of 1, with Jack and I going into the Hall of Fame together. My dream of playing Major League Baseball started many years ago. I had the good fortune to grow up in San Diego, beautiful city with great weather, which allowed me to always be outside playing sports with my buddies. I remember playing ball during the summer like it was yesterday. Hard ball, tennis ball, rubber ball, wiffle ball, whatever, anything to keep us busy. My parents, who unfortunately are no longer with us, were always supportive and saw early on how much I loved baseball. They were the ones that instilled the structure, discipline, and preparation that is needed to be successful. My mother would be extremely proud. I think back to the days we listened to baseball games on the radio, and she would tell me, if you ever make it to the major leagues, I want you to be humble like my favorite player, Stan Musial. Well, Mom, I hope I did okay for you. In 1976, I received another memorable phone call. It came from the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers had just selected me with their 2nd-round pick, and the dream to play in the major leagues was soon to become a reality. I had already signed a letter of intent to play at UCLA, but it really wasn't difficult to convince my parents to let me try and fulfill my childhood dreams. Dick Winsek, the scout who signed me, deserves a lot of credit. Dick was able to convince Bill LaJoy, who was the Tigers scouting director, to draft a skinny, 165-pound shortstop with no power. Looking back, Bill respected Dick's judgment. Dick Winsek would sign 72 major league players, the most in baseball history. I remember Dick telling me that if I hit .250 and played good defense, I would play in the big leagues a long time. I doubt scouts are telling young shortstops that today. My whole career, I have been linked with one person. For 19 years, Lou Whitaker and I formed the longest running double play combination in the history of baseball. I doubt that record will ever be broken. Lou and I were called up to the big leagues from Double-A on the same day. We both played in our first big league ball game at Fenway Park on the same day. We both got hits at our first major league at-bats off the same pitcher, Reggie Cleveland. And we both got our last hits of our careers off the same pitcher, Mike Fetters. Can you believe that? That's truly amazing. For all those years, it was Lou and Tram. Lou, it was an honor and a pleasure to have played alongside you for all those years. And my hope is someday you'll be up here as well. Tiger fans, I know you're out there. Today is as much about you as it is for me. Your support over all these years has meant a great deal to me, and today all Tiger fans can celebrate.
Jack Morris pitched 18 seasons for the Tigers, Twins, Blue Jays, and Indians, earning 14 opening day starts and 4 World Series rings. A 5-time All-Star, Morris finished in the top 5 of his league's Cy Young Award voting 5 times and led all pitchers in the 1980s with 2,444.2 innings pitched and 162 wins, and all American League pitchers in strikeouts with 1,629. Among pitchers whose careers began after 1976, Morris recorded the most complete games with 175. Perhaps the 2 moments that many baseball fans remember about Morris is his 1984 no-hitter against the White Sox and his performance in Game 7 of the 1991 World Series for the Twins, when Morris pitched 10 shutout innings to earn the victory and World Series MVP.
Hello, Cooperstown! As early as 6 years old, I remember telling my mom I was going to play in the big leagues someday for the Minnesota Twins, and I believed it would happen. I'll never forget my excitement of seeing my first big league game at Metropolitan Stadium. It was magical and left an everlasting impression on me. Life was simple then, but the kids in our neighborhood spent countless hours emulating our heroes and practicing the game. After high school, I attended Brigham Young University, hoping to advance my baseball skills and get the exposure necessary for a professional career. To my college coach, Glenn Tuckett, thank you for being here today, Coach. You taught me a lot during those wonderful years in Utah. Coach, I also need to confess one thing. I went skiing way more than you ever realized. In 1976, after 3 years in college, I was drafted by the Detroit Tigers. I had no idea how I would come to appreciate and love the hardworking people of Michigan and Detroit. I will always cherish the friendships I made there. My teammates, coaches, managers in my Detroit years taught me what winning was all about. 1984 was an incredible year, a 35-5 start, wire-to-wire in first place, and a world championship that brought joy to a lot of people. I owe a huge thank you to Detroit. I know Sparky Anderson is with us here today. He taught me so many things, especially to respect this great game. In 1980, I was struggling late in games. Sparky told me he had confidence in me, but that I needed to finish games to rest the bullpen. He said he couldn't tell me how to do it, wasn't coming out to get me, so I shouldn't look for any help. He taught me a valuable lesson by allowing me to fail and fight through adversity. I understood what my role was and appreciated his willingness to guide me into becoming a complete game pitcher. Our conversation had a huge impact on my role in baseball. In 1991, I had a chance to go back to Minnesota and complete the dream I had as a young boy. It would be a dream come true to follow in the footsteps of my heroes, Harmon Killebrew, Bob Allison, Tony Oliva, Jim Cott, and Rod Carew. I knew the Twins had a talented group of ball players, and free agency worked very well for me that year. The team chemistry was special, and every day I couldn't wait to get to the ballpark to see what was going to unfold. So we had so much fun in the clubhouse with Kirby Puckett as our ringleader. His home run in Game 6 of the World Series brought a calm over me that I had never experienced. He gave us an opportunity to play one more day, and I could not wait to pitch and have my chance in Game 7. Thank you, locker mate Ron Gardenhire. You were the first coach I had who was younger than me, and I'm sure I never, ever let you forget that. God blessed me with a gift, and it was meant to be shared with others. My life in baseball has been an incredible journey, and I am grateful for everything. I want to thank you again for sharing this wonderful day with me. Praise be to God. Thank you.
So, Jim, obviously Morris and Trammell were the only gentlemen inducted into the Hall of Fame this past year. You stick around, we're going to talk about who some of those players are also.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. Hal Newhouser was the last Tiger to be inducted into the Hall. It happened 26 years ago. The Veterans Committee voted him in 1992. Newhouser was the only man in Major League history, the only pitcher to win consecutive MVP awards. When we come back, we'll ask some current Tigers who their heroes were. I bet you a few were in the Hall of Fame. Stay with us. Now it's time for your Tiger Tickets Tiger Trivia, brought to you by Xfinity. There are now 27 players who wore a Tigers uniform enshrined in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Our question, how many players wear a Tigers cap on their plaque at Cooperstown? We'll have the answer for you later in the show.
Home for me. This is my home club. This is the team that raised me. I mean, this is, I said, it's just weird coming in and going right instead of left and going to this clubhouse to the other clubhouse. I didn't even know what this clubhouse looked like, really. So it's cool. It's cool to be back.
Even an Iraq vet like me who's in really good shape needs good health care, especially when it's top quality and convenient. And it's not just for men. In fact, aren't you a vet, Patricia?
Yeah, I served in the Air Force.
When I come to the VA, the people understand veterans' needs. I get great care with good doctors and nurses and state-of-the-art facilities. Because hey, I was there and I earned it. And if you deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan, including with the Guard or Reserves, you did too. Here's another thing. I'm within 5 years of my time over there, so there's no copay for any service-related condition. That makes a difference to me. So why not come in today? When you check in, you'll get a full medical exam, first thing. Free for vets at the VA. Thanks, Doc. So check us out and see you here.
Welcome back. If you were a baseball fan growing up as a kid, I'm sure you had a player that you idolized. For me, it was Harmon Killebrew, great slugger of the Minnesota Twins, one of the all-time best, fifth on the all-time home run list when he retired. Babe Ruth was the most prolific home run hitter in his heyday, idolized by so many. Hank Aaron came around and broke Babe's all-time record in the 1970s. Perhaps you liked Willie Mays, arguably the greatest all-around player, someone who could do it all: run, hit with power, field, and steal bases. Or Jackie Robinson, the hero to so many African Americans as he broke the color barrier in 1947, a terror on the base paths. Who were the heroes of the current Tigers? We went into the locker room to find out.
I was a Braves fan as a kid because Atlanta's like 5 hours from my house, so that was the closest big league team. to me. So I was a big fan of Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones. I don't think it was really because of their last name was the same as mine, but it was just those players were the great ones on that team that I liked and that I wanted to watch. So, yeah, Andrew Jones is probably a person I idolized a lot as a kid growing up.
Oh, my hero when I was little was Sammy Sosa.
Okay.
Yeah, Sammy Sosa was one of the guys that hit those home runs over there in Wrigley Field. And, you know, they have games and early games, and I got to watch them.
You know, growing up in California, I watched a lot of Dodgers, a lot of Angels games. You know, one player that really sticks out to me is Vladimir Guerrero. And actually, when he was at the Expos, I caught a game, and he threw me a ball during batting practice, and I was, I don't know, 7 years old, 6, 7 years old at the time, and from then on, he was my favorite player. And then when he came to the Angels, and, you know, he won MVP, forget what year it was with the Angels, but, you know, I just loved watching the guy play the game, you know, how hard he played the game. And obviously, you know, he's a Hall of Fame player, so he was a pretty good one to follow and watch.
I signed with the Indians as a shortstop, you know, and by then the guy that I look up was Ozzie Guillen. So, but it didn't last too long. The Indians converted me a catcher. They make me play catcher, so and then I start searching for catchers. So then the guys who really got my attention was Posh Rodriguez. You know, I really love the way he, you know, he go about every day, and then, you know, finally got a chance to play against him. Used to see a guy on TV and see a guy on TV playing, you know, when you get a chance, you know, back home in Venezuela, and then all of a sudden, you know, you look behind and that's the guy, you know, that you used to, you know, that you idolize, you know, you play with him, against him. It's pretty amazing.
I grew up 30 minutes from the Braves AAA team, so I grew up a very big Chipper Jones fan. So, you know, he's obviously a Hall of Famer and, you know, a great player, and watched him play for a long time. And then I think every kid that was my age coming up, everybody kind of was a fan of Griffey. You know, he went about everything the right way, and he was just a freak. He had the prettiest swing of all time, and but you know, there's a lot of guys that you know you look at and you say, wow, that guy's pretty special.
Just because we didn't have a whole lot of channels growing up, and the Braves seemed to always be on TV, so he was one of the guys I was always watching, and you know, I guess as a guy from Wisconsin, you root for the Brewers and the Braves. It's another team that's on TV all the time. So. Not a pitcher though? You didn't idolize anybody? No, I mean I didn't know I was going to be a pitcher, to be honest, growing up. And you know, I'd come from a small town, and I just wanted to play sports. And you know, he just was a guy that stood out to me, and he was great at what he did, and you know, he's well deserving of being the Hall of Fame.
You know, I grew up in Oklahoma, so and it was different. You know, I loved Mickey Mantle because he was from Oklahoma. Johnny Bench, you know, all those guys, and you know, Dave Concepcion. I always, you know, because you get to watching the Cincinnati Reds. Dave Concepcion. I was a shortstop, and so you had your picks all out. I just loved baseball in general, and Whitey Ford, just. You know, blonde-headed guy, they said. I never really saw him, but that kind of appealed to me. So, you know, off and on. But I loved all baseball players. I loved baseball, so I watched it as a kid as much as we could back when we were growing up. It's not like it is now, but those game of the weeks on Saturday was the time when I would sit in front and watch baseball, and that was a special time.
The Hall of Fame ceremony is all about recognizing the heroes of the game. And Nick, you had a chance to recognize those heroes and attend the Hall of Fame ceremonies in Cooperstown. What was that like for the non-Tigers that were inducted?
Jim, it was awesome. Again, to see up close and get to experience this thing with these players that you saw, players that you idolized and looked up to and had so much fun watching, guys like Trevor Hoffman or Vlad Guerrero or Chipper Jones, who again is a fan and player favorite, or again, legendary Tiger killer Jim Thome.
What a class. This is an amazing class to go into with guys that I think at the end of the day are great people. The performance speaks for itself. The people are the thing that stand out for me.
These last few months have been an absolute whirlwind for a kid that grew up in Peoria, Illinois, hitting rocks in our gravel driveway on South Crest Drive with aluminum bat. until my family and neighbors couldn't take it anymore. This is the ultimate dream come true.
I am so happy to be part of this group because some of them I saw and watched play and I witnessed it, but also I got to play against a lot of them and it means a lot to me.
Felipe Alou, first of all, my first manager in the majors, and I will never forget his advice to me, which was to get to the ballpark early. And I took that the very first year and ran with it. It means a lot to me and to the country that he was my first manager and the influence he still has on my life.
How do I, of all people, end up here on a stage with these iconic players, my childhood heroes, the best players in baseball history? I think for me it came down to being focused on a goal, never losing sight of that goal, and being surrounded by people who believed in me.
All I did was put my head down and just go play baseball for 17, 18, 19 years, and now look at the club that I'm in. It's mind-blowing.
Can't believe it's been 20 years since the Padres made it to the World Series. It feels like yesterday. With Kevin Towers' vision, we're a group of guys that became a team. We still have a special bond with so many making an effort being here today. John Moores and his family treated us just like that, family. Kevin Towers, Rob Peachlow, Ken Caminetti, and Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn, we miss you all and lost you all too soon.
Coming up, we take a stroll through historic Cooperstown, and we'll have the answer to this month's trivia question when we return on Your Tiger Ticket. But before the break, here's a look at some special promotions coming up at the ballpark. Now the answer to Your Tiger Tickets Tiger Trivia, brought to you by Xfinity. There are now 27 players who wore a Tigers uniform enshrined in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Our question, how many players wear a Tigers cap on their plaque at Cooperstown? The answer, with the election of Trammell and Morris, there are now 10 players who don the Old English D on their baseball caps. Prior to Tram and Jack, Hal Newhouser was the last player selected who wore a Tigers hat on his plaque. So much rich history with the Tigers and baseball in general. Nick got a chance to walk the hallowed halls in Cooperstown, getting a rich history lesson.
The National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum is an independent, nonprofit educational institution dedicated to fostering an appreciation of the historical development of baseball and its impact on our culture by collecting, preserving, exhibiting, and interpreting its collections for a global audience, as well as honoring those who have made outstanding contributions to our national pastime. Opening its doors for the first time on June 12, 1939, the Hall of Fame has stood as the definitive repository of the game's treasures and as a symbol of the most profound individual honor bestowed on an athlete. It is every fan's field of dreams, with its stories, legends, and magic shared from generation to generation.
I was born right outside of Detroit and moved to Harrisonburg, Virginia, so made the trip up here from Harrisonburg, Virginia, so about a 7-hour trek. This is the first time I've been here. Alan Trammell I grew up with Alan Trammell being my favorite player, and so it means a lot for him to be inducted here today. So I came up to see him inducted in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
We're lifelong baseball fans, and this is the first time we've been on induction weekend. We've been here a couple of other times otherwise, and with Trammell being inducted, we have a cat named Trammell and another cat named Whitaker. Chipper Jones, we've been Chipper Jones fans for a long time, so it just seemed like the right time to come.
I just came over, grew up in that 80s time era where Trammell and Morris won the World Series, and so we just kind of came to kind of relive some memories.
8 hours, came through Canada, stopped off in Niagara to check out Gretzky's winery distillery, so we kind of split the difference on the first day, got in here yesterday morning, and spent the day here, went to the induction at Doubleday Field, then saw the Hall of Fame parade down Main Street here.
And one of the absolute coolest parts about this entire venture was going up and down these streets and seeing all the old English Ds that Tiger fans have made this pilgrimage here to Cooperstown.
We were at the Legends Parade yesterday, just a huge Tigers turnout, a lot of fans, and so we've seen more Tigers fans here than any other team.
Everybody's here to have a good time. This might be the happiest place on earth for this weekend. There's nobody in a bad mood. Everybody's here because they love the game. That's why we're here too. We wear our Tigers jerseys, and people want to say hi. We've talked to people all over the country who are Tigers fans. My wife has her White Sox jersey on today. She got her picture taken with Frank Thomas this afternoon. So it's a lot of fun to be someplace where everybody's here for the same reason.
Again, just an absolutely incredible experience for any baseball fan or any history fan to go to Cooperstown. And the Hall, as it happens now, has 323 members for the Baseball Hall of Fame.
I have yet to go there, but I certainly want to. It's so good to see two players wearing Tiger caps entering the Hall. Some final thoughts coming up after this.
I pay attention for a living. I watch plays and make important calls. While I'm busy watching the game, I need your help keeping an eye on the stands. If you see something suspicious, make the right call. Tell a law enforcement official.
Congratulations, Pram and Jack.
Thank you. You know, a line from one of my all-time favorite baseball movies is, "Heroes get remembered, but legends never die." Tram and Morris reached hero status to everybody in this town when they won that ultimate team championship back in 1984. And now, with their induction to the Hall, they've gotten that ultimate individual status.
Indeed, and Trammell and Morris will be the spotlight of our next show as their uniform numbers are officially retired in separate ceremonies as well. And we'll have those highlights for you, too. For my partner, Nick Wisniewski, I'm Jim Burke. Thanks for joining us on Your Tiger Ticket. So long for now.